So this is Defeating the Watchtower number 4. And this one really does follow Defeating the Watchtower number 3 in terms of its content, which you'll see here in a minute. So what we are going to do is we're going to look at a gentleman here, and you'll see on the slide here, Clinton J. Woodworth. Who was Clinton J. Woodworth? He was the editor of the Golden Age magazine, editor of the Consolation Magazine. He was the part of the author of the posthumous work of The Finished Mystery by Pastor Russell. So just so that you can see, right, here is The Finished Mystery, of which Clinton J. Woodworth did the Book of Revelation portion of this book here. And then, like I said also in the previous slide, he was the editor the whole time of the Golden Age and the whole time for the Consolation. He was the editor when the Consolation actually switched names from Consolation to the Awake magazine, which it is today, and I think it was 1946, and that's about the time that he decided to check out and retire. Clinton J. Woodworth is a man of words in the society, being the editor of hundreds of magazines, at least an author in one of the books. So a very important guy. So here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at this, and you'll see a close-up of it on the screen here. We're going to look at the 1913 convention report. And as you know, if you looked at any of my videos, everything I show you is from my library here. It's original Watchtower literature, printed off the original Watchtower press. I do not use photocopies or any electronic means at all. These are original material. So this is the 1913 convention report. It's kind of a famous convention report because of this picture here, which you're going to see on screen of Pastor Russell in the critic's den. It's kind of a nice historical picture. Now what we are going to do in this lengthy magazine is we're going to go to this page right here. And you'll see it here on screen in a minute. We're going to look at page 274. We're not going to look at the whole page. We're just going to look at a portion of an article, and I'm going to zoom in on that right now. So you see here on screen in front of you that page 274, it's an article by C.J. Woodworth, and it's about the vow. Now, what is C.J. Woodworth? Now, we're not going to read the whole thing. We're going to just jump down. We're going to start here at the first paragraph and jump down at these, rather quickly. I'm just going to read the first sentence, though. You can follow along with me. I wish to speak to you of something that I certainly never intended mentioning at this convention. Okay. Then he goes on to the next paragraph, the one that's with me, vigorous opposition to the vow. So he had Pastor Russell had a vow he wanted everybody to take, and Clinton J. Woodworth is having some reservations about that vow. He's internally conflicted. Let's go down to the next paragraph. He said, then began my troubles. I began to pray and fight about it. And then he talks about how he wrote Pastor Russell a 50-page letter and etc. And then he goes on in the next paragraph. When I now think how patient he was, that's Pastor Russell, because he wrote in this big old long letter where he was obviously not expressing a desire or an agreement with the vow. And now we're going to get to the paragraph I really want to focus on, which is this one here. He says, well, the matter went on. There was a time for 5 consecutive nights when I never slept a wink. Then came a time when the strain was too much. My mind became unbalanced, and I came under the direct influence of evil spirits. So much so that for 3 days I was as completely under demonic control as was Mary Baker Eddy when she wrote Science and Health. Now, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, I want you to stop and read that again. Here is the editor. Here is the person who gave you, as you call in the society lingo, meat in due season. He's the editor of the Golden Age, the Consolation. He's the author of a significant portion of Volume 7 of Studies in the Scriptures, The Finished Mystery, and he's telling you he's demon-possessed? You have a demon-possessed editor of your meat in due season? That is absolutely astounding, Jehovah's Witness. Now, let me say this. As a Christian, you can't be demon-possessed. Clinton J. Woodworth, obviously, I will say, he's not a Christian because he believes the Watchtower theology. And in Watchtower theology, you've got a different Christ, you've got a different gospel. You don't go around saying you're demon-possessed. That's not an accurate understanding of the Scripture. Look at 2 Scripture verses with me right here. Look at 1 Corinthians 7:23. You were bought with a price. Do not become bondservants. You were bought with the price of Jesus Christ. who's not going to let you become demon-possessed. Let's look at John 1:12. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. You are children of God if you're a Christian. I can understand how C.J. Woodworth can say he was demon-possessed, because he's not a Christian. And here's this demon-possessed man authoring articles that you Jehovah's Witnesses, at least back in the day, were reading and accepting as meat in due season, which I would say is very rotten meat in due season. Now, what's this say about this society? Well, I want you to look at this slide, which I use all the time, because in almost every Watchtower magazine, multiple Watchtower magazines a year, it's easy to find an article in which the society says they are under the direct control of Jehovah God. Well, no, I'm sorry, you're not under the direct control of Jehovah God. Jehovah God does not let his authors become demon-possessed and also author biblical literature while under demon possession. So what would I say to you, Jehovah's Witness? I would say, you know what, you really need to examine your relationship with this organization who has members that are demon-possessed. Now remember, this is the same editor of the Golden Age magazine. If you look at Defeating Watchtower 3, the same editor of this magazine, which published an article that told its members to go read this book from a demon. There's just way too much going on here in terms of demons and angels and possessions in the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. You ought to check your relationship with this organization, because you shouldn't have one, because it's a false organization. And should you decide to stay in it, my fear is that you're going to see this next scripture verse here in Matthew 7:21-23, where Jesus says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. There are clearly people who are going to think they're in a right relationship with Christ, but you know what? They got the wrong Jesus. And if you're a member of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, you got the wrong Jesus. And you're in danger of hearing these words. It's time to get out of this false organization.